This is Ola at myEmpirePRO, your favorite real estate coach. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Your empire starts today. I've written 3 game-changing books. Download them free at myempirepro.com/books. I'm also looking for partners, money, time, or anywhere in between. If that's you, visit myempirepro.com/partners. And if you want to try the all-in-one PropStream software for free, go to myempirepro.com/PropStream. Stay tuned. Let's build your $10,000 per month real estate empire. All right, welcome back. Sorry about this. All right, welcome back. All right, so let's warm up. Welcome back. We have a good show for you today. I hope you're ready to take on the bulls by the on with me. All right, so as I was just getting started, I spilled water all over my table here, but we've got some lessons to cover today. No worries, we'll be fine. All right, so do me a favor, hit like, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications. We are about to dive in. There's a lot of content today, and hopefully you're inspired, educated again today. All right, I'll be right back. This is Ola at myEmpirePRO, your favorite real estate coach. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Your empire starts today. I've written 3 game-changing books. Download them free at myempirepro.com/books. I'm also looking for partners, money, time, or anywhere in between. If that's you, visit myempirepro.com/partners. And if you want to try the all-in-one PropStream software for free, go to myempirepro.com/PropStream. Stay tuned. Let's build your $10,000 per month real estate empire. All right, welcome back. Wholesale real estate for beginners. Why 90% fail and how to avoid it. Wholesale real estate is the art and science of finding deeply discounted properties, locking them up with a sales contract to create what we call equitable interest, and assigning that interest to an end buyer in exchange for an assignment fee, usually $10,000 or more. And it's simple. It's a simple concept, but powerful in execution. You're not buying houses. You're simply controlling opportunities and connecting value. All right. So, and yet 90% of beginners, they fail, as simple as that is, right? So not because the business doesn't work, but because of how they approach it. The number one reason why they fail, they overestimate what they can do in 1 month, and they underestimate what they can do in 1 year or even 5 years. It's all a mindset. It's all a mindset, I promise you. Now, most people come in hot, excited. They watch a few videos, they get excited, think they'll make $10,000 by next Friday. And when that doesn't happen, they start doubting the process. The truth is, this business works every single time for those who give it enough time to work. Okay. So now think about it this way. Real estate isn't a trend. It's been around since the beginning of civilization, and it will be here long after it's gone, long after we're gone. People will always buy, sell, inherit, relocate, divorce, face financial challenges. That means real estate opportunity is permanent. So when you step into wholesale real estate, you're not chasing a fad. You're joining one of the oldest and probably most stable wealth building vehicles on earth. Okay. This is something I had to learn the hard way. The mistake is expecting it to pay you like a lottery ticket instead of treating it like a business. I hope that makes sense. So here's what separates the 10%. Here's what separates the 10% who succeed from the 90% who burn out. They understand the architecture, the framework that makes this business predictable. Okay, there are 3 core processes that carry you through 5 simple stages, 3 by 5. Okay, the processes are marketing, acquisition, and disposition. Marketing brings in data and leads. Acquisition turns those leads into signed contracts. Disposition turns those contracts into cash by assigning them to investor buyers. All right. So excuse me. And those processes move you through 5 stages. Like I said, data, contact, leads, contract, and closed deals. So that's your roadmap. It's very simple. Every wholesaler from beginner to to 6 or 7 figures, they're cycling through that same path, the same thing. It might seem boring, but they're cycling that same path. And let's break it down quickly. Data, the first stage, right? Data is where you collect information on potential sellers. You can find it yourself or use the same one-stop shop. The one-stop resource that I use is at myEmpirePRO.com/big data. It's packed with thousands of records, pre-foreclosures, high equity properties, probate, all the good stuff. Okay. Now, next is contact. We have data, we have contact. Reaching out to those homeowners, right? By call, text, mail, or digital marketing. Then you have leads, which is the next stage, the third stage. Once they respond, once you show an interest and motivation, next you lock up the property with the contract, which gives you equitable interest. And finally, you have closed deals. When you assign that contract successfully to a buyer and get paid, that's it. Those are 5 stages and 3 processes, repeatable forever. Just do that over and over and over. But here's where beginners mess up, okay? They expect every stage to produce results instantly. I mean, they don't admit it, but that's their action. They'll pull a list today and think they should close a deal by next Tuesday. When it doesn't happen, then they say this doesn't work, or they act like it doesn't work. So it's not that it doesn't work. It's not that they didn't give it. No, it's probably that they didn't give it enough time. Okay. So most people underestimate how much consistency compounds. Are you familiar with the compounding thing in mathematics? No, it's not even mathematics, like simple arithmetic, right? Compounding, when you keep doing something over and over again and it creates bigger and bigger accelerated results. You may not see visible progress in month 1, but behind the scenes, you're building momentum, learning the language, refining your approach, collecting data. And that's all, That's all you need to do to set up your future deals that you probably can see right now. Now, the people who last, the people who build 6 and 7-figure wholesaling businesses are the ones who think in years, not weeks, right? They don't think get rich quick. You see, this business is like sowing or planting seeds. You plant enough of them, data, contacts, follow-ups, and in time, those seeds turn into contracts and of course deals. So, but you have to water them with consistency. Okay, you have to stay the course. And here's the truth that changed everything for me. You don't have to be the smartest. You don't have to be the most experienced person to succeed in wholesale real estate. You just have to stay in the game long enough. What is long enough? Like I just said, 1 year, So I've seen people with 0 real estate background make 100,000 in their first year. Not because they were perfect, but because they stayed committed through the learning curve, right? And they focused on mastering the process instead of chasing shortcuts. So you're going to be tempted a lot. And let's be honest, you will be tempted a lot. Most people fail because they never go all in. They treat it like a side hustle when it has the potential to become a full-blown business, not even a full-time job. They dabble, they test, they hesitate. Meanwhile, the committed ones are making, they're returning calls. They're generating leads. They're returning calls. They're speaking with motivated sellers from time to time. And if they're not, they're collecting data and sending out offers. Eventually, it compounds out, building systems and growing. So if you're just getting started, congratulations to you. Here's my advice, okay? Commit to the long game. Give yourself a year to get good and 5 years to get wealthy, okay? It takes very short time, but in the grand scheme of things, if you don't have the right mindset, it might, like the next 1 week might feel like forever. So make a decision today that you're going to learn, implement, and adapt until you win. because real estate isn't going anywhere. I promise you, guaranteed. But your window of opportunity starts the moment you take it seriously. Okay, and you're not always going to be in the state of mind. These opportunities are not always going to present themselves. And if you want help shortcutting the learning curve, you can partner directly with me. And all you have to do is go to myEmpirePRO .com/partners. It's myEmpirePRO.com/partners. You don't have to do it alone. Of course, you can do it alone if you want to. And that's another reason 90% fail: isolation. When you connect with experienced partners, you borrow experience, speed, and of course, confidence. Okay. You understand leverage, right? You understand the leverage in partnership. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. So remember this though. Remember this: slow progress is still progress. Okay. If you plant today, okay, very, very simple formula here. If you plant today and stay consistent, your pipeline will feed you for years to come. You can make your first 10,000, yes. Your first 50,000, yes. Even your first 100,000, all from staying focused on the system: marketing, acquisition, and disposition, walking through data, contact, leads, contract, and deals. So don't rush the process. Okay, don't rush the process. Just trust the process. Real estate rewards patience and punishes panic. Okay, in our next segment, I'm going to share the single most important trait that helped me land my first deal, and how that same trait will keep building every deal that comes after. Are you excited? All right. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. And definitely I will be right back. We have more to come. This is Ola at My Empire Pro, your favorite real estate coach. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Your empire starts today. I've written 3 game-changing books. Download them free at myempirepro.com/books. I'm also looking for partners, money, time, or anywhere in between. If that's you, visit myempirepro.com/partners. And if you want to try the all-in-one PropStream software for free, go to myempirepro.com/PropStream. Stay tuned. Let's build your $10,000 per month real estate empire. All right, welcome back. Wholesale real estate first deal. My first deal. The one trait that builds every next deal is what we're about to talk about. But before we get into that, let's remind ourselves: wholesale real estate is the art and science of finding deeply discounted properties, locking them up with a sales contract. That's step 2. And then we're able to create equitable interest like that. And then we assign those rights to an end buyer in exchange for an assignment fee, typically $10,000 or more. It's one of the simplest, fastest path to big checks in real estate, but only if you build the right foundation. So now, and the next best time to build the right foundation is now, right? So let me tell you something from personal experience. Your first deal is everything, not just because it's your first paycheck. Okay, my first was $10,000, but because it shapes how you'll approach every deal after that. So if you already got your first deal, congratulations. If you haven't, congratulations, because this video is very, very important to you. And the one trait that builds every next deal, what is that? Perseverance. Okay, wait. Okay, it's not as hard as you think, but wait. Let me tell you how I learned that the hard way first. When I got started, I was just like you, like most people, and excited, hungry, motivated, and ready to crush it. I thought I'm going to get my first deal in 30 days, like 30 days. I hit the phones, hit the letters, direct mail, sent messages, talked to everyone who owned the property, was driving for dollars too. I talked to everybody that owned the property that looked remotely motivated. Okay. And guess what? Nothing happened. A month went by, still nothing. And then you have 2 months went by, not even a warm lead. Okay. But by month 3, I started wondering if I was missing something. And of course, hope deferred makes the heart weak, right? I started to wonder. But I kept showing up. I was doing a lot of direct mails. I was showing up. I was licking them envelopes, getting them out every morning. I review the data I used to from foreclosures, lease pendings. I made new contacts by simply sending a letter out, a couple of letters, maybe 100 per week or so. I tracked my leads as much as I could. I analyzed the properties. I made offers, and then finally, at about 6 months in, I locked up my first contract. Okay, which actually closed 6 months. Okay, I locked up that contract like a month before that. I remember getting that contract signed, and it was like a light switch flipped, because not only did I finally close that first deal, but 3 more were already lined up behind it. Okay, that's when I realized, what's the moral of the story here? That's when I realized wholesale real estate doesn't move in a straight line. It's an exponential curve. It's slow at first, but then it explodes. The first few months are where most people quit. They're planting seeds, but they can't see the roots growing underground yet. They just can't see it. It's underground, but they can't see it. You see, perseverance is what keeps you watering those seeds onto the sprout. Now, let's tie this to the architecture, the real estate wholesale architecture that I am teaching you here. Is very simple, because when you understand the structure, it gets a lot easier to stay consistent. All right. Hold on 1 second, guys. Hold on. Just hold tight. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Let's see. All right. So, what was I saying? If you master the architecture of this whole thing, it gets a lot more easier. Hold on 1 second. Let's see here. Yeah, that's the first thing you need to understand. After perseverance, then if you know that, and you know that, the first few months might feel tough at times, then you need to understand the architecture of the whole thing. Because again, like I said, 1 month, 2 months goes by, 6 months before I locked in my first deal. But there's a lot of things that happened, probably stuff worth a whole lifetime. Okay. So the first few months, people sow seeds, then you have to persevere. But let's tie that into the architecture that I was talking about, right? Is the 3x5 thing. I've shared that with you a few times here. Every successful wholesaler walks through these 5 stages, okay? There's 3 processes to walk you through these 5 stages. The 5 stages are data, contact, leads, contract, and deals. And the 3 processes that move you through those stages are marketing, acquisition, and disposition. Marketing feeds you the data. Those leads are motivated sellers. You can find these leads anywhere, but if you want a shortcut, just simply go to myEmpirePRO.com/big data. All right. This is one of the things this is why perseverance matters so much, right? It's the glue that holds the entire process together. My first deal didn't just teach me patience, it taught me perspective. I realized that every failed conversation before that was actually training. Every awkward call, every unanswered message, every deal that fell through, that happens sometimes. It's all of those elements that built the skill set that I'm sharing with you today. Okay, it's the same one that built the skill set I needed to close the next one faster. I also learned that speed isn't always an advantage early on. I've seen people get lucky and close a deal in 2 weeks. It happens. And then go 6 months before the next one, and it's excruciating. That process of waiting after you saw it happen so fast, right? They get caught up in the high of that first win, and they lose focus in the system. Okay, they lose focus in the system of the perseverance with the exponential thing, right? But then really what they should be paying attention is the system that produced it in the first place, right? It's a very repetitive, boring system, but the timeline in between the beginning can throw you off. And that's why I say the faster you close your first deal, the more careful you need to be. It's not about luck. It's about building a repeatable machine, a process that you can do over and over again. The real success starts when your deal starts stacking up consistently. And that's the part where I say exponential curve, right? That's when it takes off and it feels like it's overnight success. Everybody else that quit, they're looking at you like you had overnight success. But everything else in life, it's nothing that's worthy in life that's easy, right? So the very beginning is the hardest part. I'm telling you right now. So don't worry if it takes you a few months. That's not failure. That's the setup. You're building your engine, you're building the machine. And once that engine is running, every stage starts to flow naturally. Data brings contacts, right? And then contacts turn into leads, and then leads become contracts, and then contracts turn into closed deals. That's the pipeline. Now, here's what's beautiful. Once you've gone through it, it never feels as hard again because you've seen it, you've experienced it, you can relate, right? The conversation gets easier. You start recognizing patterns. You know which sellers are serious and which ones are just curious. So you start closing deals in half the time because you've already gone through that process, the learning curve, right? Like anything else you've done before, you do it better, you're doing faster, right? And that first deal isn't the finish line. Is the foundation. Every deal after that gets easier because your system, your network, and your mindset get stronger. So perseverance is what gets you through that first 6 months or so, at least from my experience, but from many people, colleagues, friends, partners that I've spoken to, consistency is what keeps you winning after that. And that's why mindset will always be more valuable than tactics. I've shared the framework with you. It's just now mindset. You have the skills, you have the tools. You can have all the scripts, all the software stack that all the gurus are selling you, and strategy in the world, but without discipline to stay the course, they don't mean anything. You just be paying a couple of $100 out in fees, of software fees, but no deals are coming in. So when I look back at my first deal, it wasn't the $10,000 profit that changed my life. It was the realization that this business works if I work it. Okay, it's a mindset that I've transferred into every other business that I've done since then, as a matter of fact. So if you're just starting out, don't rush your timeline. Give yourself the gift of patience. Okay, treat this like a craft, because if you stick with it long enough, those $10,000 or more deals become $20,000, then $40,000, then $82,000, my highest, and eventually you're running a full operation, not just chasing a side hustle. And if you ever need help staying accountable or want to partner on deals directly, simply just visit myempirepro.com/partners. And the reality is that you don't have to figure it all out alone. Actually, I closed my first deal before I realized that, wait, it's leverage if I partner, right? You just have to commit to the journey. The first deal builds confidence, for sure. The next builds consistency, right? And before you know it, the deals start to build you. It builds character. All right. So now in the next segment, we'll talk about how to take that momentum and multiply it using 4 real estate hacks to double your profit margins without adding stress or risk. I'll be right back. This is Ola at myEmpirePRO, your favorite real estate coach. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Your empire starts today. I've written 3 game-changing books. Download them free at myempirepro.com/books. I'm also looking for partners, money, time, or anywhere in between. If that's you, visit myempirepro.com/partners. And if you want to try the all-in-one PropStream software for free, go to myempirepro.com/PropStream. Stay tuned. Let's build your $10,000 per month real estate empire. Welcome back. Wholesale real estate step by step. I want to share 4 real estate hacks to double your profit margins. Very, very important. Before we get into that, remember wholesale real estate is the art and science of building deeply discounted properties, locking them up with a sales contract to create equitable interest and assigning that right to an end buyer for a profit, usually $10,000 or more. You're not building or buying properties. You're controlling opportunity, you're solving problems, and that's where the money is in any business, right? So now, when people hear me say double your profit margins, they usually think I mean taking twice as many calls or working twice as hard. But no, this is about leverage. Leverage is what allows you to make more while doing less. It's the foundation of real wealth, not just in real estate, but in every business. I hope that makes sense. This is going to be the foundation of this conversation today. If you want to scale, you don't need to add more hours. That's not scaling, okay? There's only so many hours in a day, right? You need to add leverage. And there are 4 specific leverage points that will double your profit faster than anything else, okay? We have labor, we have 2 capital, we have AI, right? And then we have media, okay? Now let's talk about each one. First, labor. Okay, let's talk about labor first. Labor leverage is about people. You need people, right? Don't you? The moment you stop doing everything yourself and start delegating, your business multiplies. And some people think you have to wait forever. Actually, you can start immediately. When I started, I did every single thing. My first deal, right? You know, finding the data and then sending out letters, leaking letters, negotiating, managing buyers. I was the entire operation. It worked, but it capped my growth. Of course, there's only so many hours in a day ever, right? Then I brought on help at some point, a virtual assistant to manage quite a few things, someone to handle some of the repetitive stuff, and then the deals move a little bit faster. I was able to free up my time to do the actual business. Now, why? Because I was free to focus on high value actions, right? Talking to motivated sellers and actually closing deals. So if you're still in that solo hustle phase, that's okay. Okay. And again, I'll share with you in a second here. You don't have to wait until you're rich to be able to leverage other people. Remember, leverage labor, right? So, but plan your way out. You need to have this at the back of your mind. Start a little bit small. If you can already hire a part-time VA, partner with another wholesaler, somebody who has complementary skills, because there's multiple arrays of skills needed to make this function properly as an engine over time. So you'll find that just removing 1 or 2 repetitive tasks from your day can instantly free up time to close more deals. And if you don't understand that yet, don't worry, you understand more as time goes on. And that brings us to the second type of leverage, capital, right? Capital leverage. Capital leverage doesn't always mean huge amounts of money. Let's be honest, okay? I know most of you think that when we say that in wholesale real estate, small amounts of capital used wisely can generate massive returns. In fact, think of wholesale as leverage, okay? Everything else is crawling like snail, right? So let's say you spend $500 on targeted marketing or on digital marketing. That could easily turn to $15,000 deal. That's a 30-to-1 return. You can't get that anywhere else. So while this business is often called no money down, I get it, right? It's often called no money down. Understand that smart reinvestment is what takes you from the first deal to your first 6-figure, okay? You're not risking money. You're using it strategically to buy time and reach. Does that make sense? I hope so. And if you don't have extra capital right now, partner with someone who does. Partnerships are another form of leverage. One person brings effort, the other person brings resources, right? And you split the profit. I have partners right now making money with me. myEmpirePRO.com/partners. And I've always had that. After my first deal, I've always partnered with other people. So if you've got the drive, you can plug into existing systems and get traction faster. Okay. Now let's talk about the third leverage point. This is the new powerhouse in modern real estate. It's called AI, artificial intelligence. We used to call it coding, right? It's basically changing everything. What used to take hours now takes seconds. Data analysis, lead scoring, follow-ups, even marketing messages, all can be automated or assisted by AI tools. So, for example, I use tools that automatically respond to leads, right? Or follow up with leads, analyze potential ARVs, and even help craft personalized follow up messages based on their behavior. That means I can talk to 10 times 10 times more leads in the same amount of time, right? So I learned something profound a long time ago, right? I need to be talking to 100 people in 1 minute rather than spending the next 100 minutes to talk to one person. It's called leverage, AI. So AI is your silent employee, cost almost next to nothing. It never sleeps, never forgets, and never asks for a raise. And the beautiful part, it's cheaper than hiring anyone full time. So if you start building systems with AI early, you'll outpace 99% of wholesalers who are still doing everything manually. Yes, believe it or not, many people are still doing that. So then we come to my favorite one. Of course, you probably can tell already, media. Media leverage means your message works for you even when you're not working. Okay. It's your digital footprint in this time and age, in this digital era, your brand, your marketing, your presence online. You see, when you share your journey, right, your insights and your deals, you build trust and attract both sellers and buyers. You see, sellers are humans, right? And they need to kind of like know you, right? So buyers, especially, they can also see that you're actually active in the business, and they naturally build trust even without knowing it. It's not an intentional thing, it's a very subconscious thing, and that's the power of media. So in this business, it's no different. Content is modern day real estate, and is digital property that brings in leads around the clock. Okay, so either you know it or not, every single one eyeball that sees a video, that sees a piece of content, article, something, or a post, a story, every single one of those set of eyeballs or pair of eyeballs, they are potential big money in your pocket and their pocket. Okay, or you can actually relieve a person. And here's the kicker: you don't even have to be the face if you don't want to. Okay, I know you probably got scared a little bit. You can partner with content creators who are also wholesalers, and you can also leverage their activity. They bring the eyeballs, you bring the deals together, you both win, and it all works hand in hand. It brings more resources in to help you close more deals. And that's the kind of leverage that multiplies your business without multiplying your workload or even multiplying budget, right? Marketing budget. Now, let's tie all of this back to our framework, the 3 processes and 5 stages that make this business run. You remember that? I have to remind you in case you've been here, but if you're brand new here, make sure you subscribe. Your marketing process improves with media and AI. Your acquisition process scales with labor and capital. Your disposition process, turning contracts into cash, becomes smoother when all these pieces work together. So those 3 processes move you through the 5 stages. You remember them, right? The data, contact, leads, contract, and then closed deals. Every single stage can be optimized with leverage. So for example, here's a quick example, right? You use AI to pull and analyze data faster. And by the way, our one-stop shop uses AI behind the scenes a lot. You use virtual assistants for contact and follow-up. If you can't afford it yet, don't worry about it, right? Just know that at the back of your mind. You use capital to fund better marketing, to hire better virtual assistants over time. You use content to attract new leads, all right? New partners, right? You use contact to attract new resources, right? New people, valuable people in your network, and you use partnerships to move more contracts into deals. That's how you double your profit margins, by compounding small efficiencies across every stage. I hope that makes sense. So the difference between a $10,000 deal and a $40,000 deal isn't luck. Sometimes it's just leverage. Okay. Sometimes it's the difference between you doing deals or not. When I learned to apply all 4, labor, capital, AI or code, media, my business transformed. Pipelines filled themselves and profits multiplied without me having to grind harder. And I've had to start all over a few times. At the very minimum, I know how to fill my pipeline with data. and data can be filtered and optimized to become contact and then leads and then contract, and you get the gist, right? You have a proper structure for how this actually works. And that's what I want for you. Remember, you don't have to do it alone. All right, just a quick reminder, you can access all the same data and tools that make the system work. You can access them at myempirepro.com/big data. So yeah, just wanted to drop that real quick. I hope this makes sense to you. I have some other ones that's coming up, and hit the like button, share, subscribe. I'll be right back. This is Ola at My Empire Pro, your favorite real estate coach. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Your empire starts today. I've written 3 game-changing books. Download them free at myempirepro.com/books. I'm also looking for partners, money, time, or anywhere in between. If that's you, visit myempirepro.com/partners. And if you want to try the all-in-one PropStream software for free, go to myempirepro.com/PropStream. Stay tuned. Let's build your $10,000 per month real estate empire. All right, welcome back. Wholesale real estate cold calling. I want to show you how to double your profit with zero extra risk. Okay, wholesale real estate, remember, is the art and the science of finding deeply discounted properties, locking them up with a sales contract to create equitable interest, and assigning that right to an end buyer in exchange for an assignment fee, usually $10,000 or more. It's one of the simplest paths to generating real estate cash flow without needing a license, a big team, or even owning a property yourself. Actually, you never have to own a property yourself. So today, of course, in this segment, I want to talk about something that every new wholesaler needs to understand early: how to double your profit without taking on extra risk. Because most people get this wrong. They work harder, they burn more hours, spend more money, and still get the same result. But when you understand where the real risk lives in the business, you'll know how to avoid it completely and protect your time like gold. So let's get into it. This lesson is key to your success. Let's start with the most popular and most misunderstood strategy in wholesaling: cold calling. When you first start, everyone tells you, the gurus, they tell you, just get on the phone, talk to someone, talk to a person, talk to people, right? Call homeowners, make offers, hustle. And yes, cold calling can work like any other strategy. All strategies work, in my opinion. The question is that, will you keep working until it works? But what they don't tell you is that it's expensive oftentimes, not just in money, by the way, but in time and energy. If you quit, that's obviously very expensive, right? So see, time is your most valuable currency in business. You can always make money back, right? But you can never make back time. And when you start putting a price tag on your time, when you realize every hour you spend dialing numbers could have been used negotiating contracts or building relationships, you start to see why blind cold calling isn't the smartest play. Okay. In fact, for a lot of people, cold calling is not. Think about it. You're calling hundreds of people, most of whom will never sell, just hoping to catch one, maybe. There's a lot of energy for very little return. Meanwhile, your competitors are using digital marketing, automation to attract leads who already want to sell. Automation to scaling. If you're not automating, you're not scaling. If you're not scaling, you're not really in business. You don't have the capacity. You're gonna get burnt out. Okay. And if you understand automation and scaling, it's not just easier, it's just smarter. So let's talk about digital marketing, especially when paired with the AI tools. This is obvious, this is inevitable now. Let's talk about how you're able to reach more sellers who are raising their hand instead of you tapping them. Please let me get your attention, right? You can target people behind on payments. absentee owners, pre-foreclosures, or list pendings, our favorite here, all filtered through data tools already, like even myEmpirePRO.com/big data. It's one-stop access to every motivated seller segment in your area. Now, I might have just mixed two things together. There's digital marketing. There's probably three things I mixed together: social media marketing, but there's also tools so that you can assess and actually come up with offers like that. Snap of a finger. Those are all AI enabled tools, right? That I've just shared with you. And that's what we call leverage. Leverage. I want you to think leverage when you're thinking the business. Now, let's talk about risk, because doubling your profit isn't about adding pressure, right? It's about removing risk from your process, moving all those small bottlenecks, right, from your process. And risk shows up in two ways. It can show up in the form of financial risk or reputational risk. Financial risk is easy to understand. Okay, if you're spending money on marketing that doesn't work, because you will spend money regardless, right? Or probably more than money, time on processes that doesn't work, right? If you spend hours cold calling and burn out, you lose opportunities. That's a big risk. Now let's talk about reputational risk. That one is a little bit sneaky, right? As more states in the United States tighten up laws around unsolicited calls, the do not call list, and telemarketing restrictions are getting stricter by every month, every single day. One wrong call to the wrong person, and you call the wrong person, you could be looking at fines or legal headaches you don't want. I've seen it before. It's not what you want. So digital marketing helps you avoid all of that. You're not evading people's space. You're creating space for the right people to come to you. Okay. It's inbound marketing. When someone fills out your form, they click an ad or something like that, they pick up the phone, they call you or messages you, they're inviting you into their process. That's permission-based marketing. We call it inbound marketing as opposed to outbound marketing. It's safer, it's smarter, and way more scalable, right? Why? Because of automation, especially in this time and age. Now, does that mean you should never call people? Not at all, right? It just means that by the time you do call, they should already know who you are. You're not cold calling anymore. You're not cold anymore. You're warm. They've seen your name, your brand, maybe your content, and they already associate you with real estate help. That's a lead. You're jumping the hoop all the way from data through contact all the way to leads. Okay, so that's 3 of those 5 stages taken care of already. That's how you shift from chasing to attracting. Attraction marketing is still a big deal. In fact, it's going to become more and more popular. Now, here's another zero risk profit booster: partnership. Partnership is free leverage. It costs nothing, but it multiplies your results. It just makes sense, right? So when the ROI on partnership is literally infinity, right? When you partner with another wholesaler, you combine list, buyers, experience, resources. Maybe you've got deals and they've got buyers, or they've got data and you've got hustle. When you joint venture JV with other people, both sides win without doubling expenses. And I've built long-term partnerships that still pay me years later. So it doesn't have to, it doesn't cost you a dime up front. It's just a principle that works all the time. It's called leverage. It's part of the pillars of leverage I shared with you earlier. You can join forces with other investors and even partner directly with me. You can partner with me at myEmpirePRO.com/partners. I seem surprised there, right? No, not really. I've been talking about this. We can partner. If you have certain resources, we bring our resources together, we do deals together. And that's one of the fastest way to grow safely. You're learning, but you're growing safely, leveraging other people's systems and experience instead of reinventing the wheel. Have you ever heard of the term other people's money? Yes, there's also other people's system, other people's time, other people's skills, right? And let me tell you a quick story before I round this up. My very first deal, the one that took me 6 months to land, that one. That deal taught me a lesson about risk that I will never forget. I will continue to share it. I was about to make $20,000 in assignment profit. Actually, it was more like an option contract. Everything looked good. The contract was solid. The buyer was lined up, and we were heading to closing, right? But because it was an assignment and not a double closing, the seller saw my profit on the statement, on the settlement statement. He didn't like that. At the last minute, he refused to sign unless I split my profit with him. I ended up, should I call it losing $10,000 that day. Well, it was money I was about to make, right? Was it legal? Sure. Was it fair? Not really, but it's all fair in love and war. But I learned something invaluable. Transparency is good, but structure is better, right? That's when I discovered the double closing hack. So I want you to think about double closing. Whenever you think about doubling profit, think about double closing hack. Instead of assigning your contract, okay, the strategy that's best is you can close on it with a transactional fund, which can come from your buyers. There's resources for transactional funding around, a short-term funder, a person that's going to make a quick 1 to 2% on their money for lending it out to you for just a few minutes, 5 minutes. Would you do that all day long? Would you give me $100,000 if you had it and you could make $2,000 extra and I'll get you back the money in 5 minutes? The answer is yes and yes and yes. And then you sell the property to an end buyer. Everybody is happy in a separate closing, a separate transaction. The two sides never see each other's numbers, right? Everyone walks away happy and your profit is fully protected. Zero risk. I promise you zero risk. That's zero risk. No uncomfortable conversations. How are you making this kind of money? No last minute renegotiations. Just smooth, clean transactions. Everything is registered. Everything shows. Everybody's happy. So if there's room in the deal, go with double closing. Okay. It protects you, the seller, the buyer. It's more professional too, and more private, and often much more profitable. So you see how that works? You're not adding any risk, you're removing it. Okay. And when you combine that with partnerships and digital marketing, you start creating a business that runs efficiently and safely. So that's how you double your profit without any additional or harder work or risk or anything like that. You're not grinding. You understand how business works. You're guiding a deal. You're not risking more. You're managing better. Okay. So now the beauty of wholesale real estate is that it rewards efficiency. When you value your time, protect your systems, and focus on smarter leverage, your business grows on almost on autopilot. Okay. Now remember this very quickly. Cold calling might look cheaper. Okay. Cold calling is not easier, it's not cheaper, it's actually much more expensive in time, especially in time. Partnerships cost nothing but can multiply your deals. Double closing keeps your profits secure, right? And it's a hack. It's a form of leverage. It doubles your profit too. And digital marketing lets you reach more people without breaking any laws or your sanity. I will tell you another story, but maybe another video. That's how you scale safely and faster. So if you're just starting out, starting out, and you're looking to level up, start protecting your time and simplifying your business. Plug into systems that work, focus on relationships that compound, and always play the long game. Okay. Now, in our next segment, we'll talk about how to do even more with less, specifically how to close deals faster and more consistently, even if you're starting with no money at all. Okay, I'll be right back. This is Ola at myEmpirePRO, your favorite real estate coach. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Your empire starts today. I've written 3 game-changing books. Download them free at myEmpirePRO.com/books. I'm also looking for partners, money, time, or anywhere in between. If that's you, visit myEmpirePRO.com/partners. And if you want to try the all-in-one PropStream software for free, go to myEmpirePRO.com/PropStream. Stay tuned. Let's build your $10,000 per month real estate empire. All right, welcome back. Wholesale real estate with no money. Close deals faster like a pro. Sounds exciting, right? All right, so let's define what is wholesale real estate, just in case you're brand new here. By the way, make sure you become part of the family. Subscribe. Wholesale real estate is the heart and science of finding deeply discounted properties, locking them up with a sales contract to create equitable interest, and assigning that right to an end buyer in exchange for an assignment fee profit, usually $10,000 or more. You're not buying property, you're controlling opportunity, you're creating value in the middle and getting paid handsomely for it. You're actually solving people's problem. And here's what makes it this whole business, here's what makes it so powerful. You can start with little to no money. Seriously, okay? Compared to traditional real estate investing, okay? We have a ton in my books, my book Real Estate Money Secret. We have a ton of different ways to make money in real estate or build wealth. But this one is a standalone because it's not like making money like a traditional real estate investing where you need down payment, loans, credit, holding costs. Wholesaling is the lowest risk, highest reward way to get into the real estate game. I mean, just do the math. Let's put it into perspective, okay? If you wanted to buy a $500,000 rental property the traditional way, you would need at least 20% down, a down payment of 20%. That's $100,000 in cash. Now, plus closing costs, plus reserves, that's a huge financial commitment. And even then, it might take years before you see a real return, right? So, but in wholesale real estate, sometimes you get negative cash flow upfront, okay? But with wholesale real estate, your biggest return isn't money, it's time. Your time is your currency here, okay? You invest it into learning the business, building your network, and taking action, right? Simple stuff, right? Almost free. If you've got $0, you can literally start by driving for dollars, right? I don't recommend it. I don't think anybody in America doesn't have enough money, okay? But you never know. There's always a surprise here and there. You could drive for dollars. That means driving around neighborhoods, writing down addresses of distressed and vacant properties, and then reaching out to the owners. That will cost you $1 or $2 to find their contact information. You can look for properties with overgrown lawns, boarded up windows, and for sale by owner signs that have been sitting too long. That's your data. I've done that before. Okay, I didn't do it for too long, but I've done it. Now, if you've got a little bit to invest, even as little as $500 to $1,000, you can take it a step further. You can pull thousands of motivated seller records at myempirepro.com/big data, and you can start for a free trial, by the way, and you can start marketing directly, or you can set up digital marketing campaigns. And this small investment can generate multiple leads and potentially, of course, multiple closed deals. That's the beauty of this business. Your return on investment can be insane, infinity. Why? Because you get the gist, right? So when people say wholesale real estate with no money, that's not hype. It's the truth, because your money isn't tied up in property, it's tied up in a process that you can quit, which is part of the course, right? So now let's talk about closing deals faster, because no one gets into this business to wait months for a check. The secret to speed is understanding the 5 stages, the architecture, the stages, the processes, and understanding how to move through those 5 stages efficiently: data, contact, leads, contract, and deals. These stages are powered by 3 main processes: marketing, acquisition, and disposition. Your marketing process feeds your data, and contact stages is also fed by the data. Now, that's where you're finding sellers, pulling lists, and reaching out. Acquisition is where you qualify leads, you negotiate with them, you lock up contracts. And the disposition is where you turn those contracts into profit by assigning them to buyers. Okay. Now, to close faster, you need to move smoothly through all 5 stages. Okay, let's break it down. You need to remove your emotions from this. Stage number 1, data. You start with good data, not random guesses. When your list is solid, for example, list pendants is we also call it pre-foreclosure, probate, absentee owners, or high equity properties. You're already halfway there. You can get all of this in one place, just one place. Just go to myempirepro.com/big data for free. Just take a free trial and you get access. Stage number 2, contact. Once you've got your list, you start making contacts, right? You can call, which I don't do. I've done it. But basically, you can also set up your marketing in which they contact you, right? And that's inbound call. And by the time they contact you, they already jump 2 different stages and now they are a lead. But it's whatever fits your personality and your budget, okay? Because every marketing strategy works. The question is, are you going to keep working until it works? Some of those marketing strategy does not fit your personality. So the idea is to start a real conversation, and you're simply asking, would you consider an offer about this number, right? Now, stage number 3 is the leads. By the time you're asking if they will consider, you're already at stage number 3. There's interest already, okay? And this stage number 3 is called leads. When someone says yes, or even just a maybe, they become a lead. This is where most people slow down. But if you want to close faster, respond quickly, motivation fades, call them back, set up an appointment, and gather the detail, condition, timeline, the reason for selling. Remember that? Now, those 3 things will tell you exactly how motivated they are. Okay? The timing and their motivation. Stage number 4, contract. This is where the deal is made. You run your numbers using the 70% rule. The ARV, after repair value, multiplied by 0.7 or 70% minus the repair cost equals the maximum offer that you can offer. And that number can go up to 85% for $1 million homes, or down to 50% for homes under homes $100,000 or under. Once you've got your number, make the offer and lock it up. Don't overthink it. Okay? You can always renegotiate if repairs come in higher than expected, or if the comps were a little bit off. You can renegotiate, but obviously we don't want to have to be doing that a lot, right? But you get better with time. Now, stage number 5, deals. Now, you've got the property under contract. Okay, you need to be moving faster, right? Because you're closer and closer to the money. You market the deals, your buyers list. You let the buyers. There's a deal. Rehabbers, landlords, right? You let them know. Investors, you let them know there's a deal that they can capture immediately. This is their bread and butter. The more buyers you know, the faster you close. You can build your buyers list by networking, of course. Attend local events. What about posting deals online or partnering with other wholesalers? Right? Partnership, leverage. Remember that? So here's a powerful shortcut. If you already know what buyers want before you lock up a property, your deals will close almost instantly. For example, when you use tools like PropStream, which you can find at myEmpirePRO.com/big data, you can see exactly what properties investors in your area, you can see what they're buying, their price point, their price ranges, their location. So when you find a property that matches, it's already sold, because you know they're spending money on this kind of property and they do this for business. There's no emotions, very little emotions involved. It's already sold before you even make the offer. So that's how professionals close deals in days, not months, where you hold a homeowner hostage because you're supposed to be this upcoming wholesaler. So now let's talk about why this business truly is no money, at least compared to everything else. You're not risking capital on properties that may not return anything for years to come. You're not fixing roofs or dealing with tenants. You're connecting motivated sellers with ready buyers. You're solving problems, and you're getting paid for creating speed and certainty. So that's your value in the transaction. That's why you're making money. You're not just making free money. You're making money because you're bringing value. And of course, as you grow, you reinvest in marketing tools, or maybe even in your own portfolio of built-in equity, or in a small team to help you continue the process. But even then, the risk is minimal, because every dollar goes toward creating opportunity, not speculation. I hope that makes sense. Now, here's the mindset I want you to remember. Every minute you spend learning, calling, negotiating, or analyzing is an investment. Every connection, every list, every deal That's building your equity. That's building your business equity. You see, when I started, I had more time than money, like most people, right? And that was enough. That's all I needed. Over time, the money caught up, and then everything crashed. And then I had to learn the hard way. I remember one deal, a small property I locked up for, I think about $152,000, and then I assigned for about 160, a small profit, about $16,000 assignment fee. I didn't spend a single dollar out of pocket, just my time and some simple marketing. That check changed everything. Okay, it changed everything. Okay, because at that time I had already been slowing down. I was distracted. I was all over the place. And then that check came in. Oh my God. So yes, you can close deals faster and you can do it with no money, but you have to understand that your time is your initial investment and consistency is your multiplier. You notice I didn't say money. So focus on mastering the process, marketing, acquisition, and disposition. Once that flow becomes second nature, the deals will come faster and more frequently. I hope that helps. All right. So if you want help speeding it up and you're ready to partner directly with someone who's been doing this for years, 20 years, you can connect with me at myempirepro.com/partners. All right. All right. Let's keep it moving. I'll be right back. This is Ola at My Empire Pro, your favorite real estate coach. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Your empire starts today. I've written 3 game-changing books. Download them free at myempirepro.com/books. I'm also looking for partners, money, time, or anywhere in between. If that's you, visit myempirepro.com/partners. And if you want to try the all-in-one PropStream software for free, go to myempirepro.com/PropStream. Stay tuned. Let's build your $10,000 per month real estate empire. All right, welcome back. Wholesale real estate contract. Your secret weapon revealed. Yes. Yes. Now, before we get into wholesale real estate contract, wholesale real estate is the art and science of finding deeply discounted properties, just in case you're new here. And then we'll lock them up to create what we call equitable interest, and then we assign that right to an end buyer, an investor, somebody who wants to fix the property for a profit, and we make our money just for finding the right deals. Okay, usually $10,000 or more in profit, and you don't have to touch the property. You don't have to ever own the property more than 5 minutes ever. Okay, and it's not about flipping houses, it's about flipping paperwork, the contract, the right in that contract. And that paperwork, the contract, is your secret weapon. Let me explain. If you take nothing else from this segment, remember this: the contract is the engine of the entire wholesale business. It's what gives you control. It's what creates your equitable interest. It's what gets you paid. Now let's break it down. In the world of real estate, the moment 2 parties agree on terms in writing, that agreement becomes legally binding. Okay? Probably more so legally binding. Now, in wholesale real estate, that agreement gives you what's called the equitable interest. I want you to write that down. Now, the equitable interest means you have the right to purchase the property under the agreed terms. But here's the key. That right itself is valuable. You can sell or assign the right to another investor for a fee. That's how you make your money. Simple, right? So let's go step by step. I'm going to take a step back and let's go step by step through what's inside this powerful document and why every word matters. First, your contract needs to clearly state the parties involved, who is buying what. That's you, the buyer, and then the property owner, the seller. You don't need a company to start. No, you don't. You can use your personal name or your business name if you already set one up. Of course, eventually you want to have a business. I set mine up after my first deal, just letting you know that is not a barrier from closing the deal. Okay. Now, the point is, it must be clear who is making the contract, who is making the agreement, rather. It needs to be clear. Now, secondly, it should describe the property precisely. That includes the full address and the legal description, things like block number, lot number, basically the way the county government keeps the record, okay? That's what makes it a real property, because you can have an address and it's not a real property, just FYI. You need to have legal description on it. The legal description can usually be pulled from the county records or your data provider like myEmpirePRO.com/big data. You can try it out for free. It's what makes the contract enforceable. You're not just saying the blue house on the corner, right? You're saying this exact parcel of land as recorded in the county's official books. And then thirdly, you'll need the purchase price and terms. This is where you negotiate your profit potential, right? The lower the contract price, the more room there is for the end buyer and for your assignment fee, of course, because the end buyer is the one actually paying you for finding this deal, right? Now, a lot of beginners get nervous here, thinking they need to have the perfect number. Don't overthink it. It's very simple. Use the 70% rule. The after repair value, ARV, multiply that by 0.7, and then take the difference of the repair estimate out, and then you have your maximum allowable offer. Now, for higher end properties, you can stretch that up to 85%. And for lower end homes, you can tighten that number, the ARV factor, down to 50%. If the seller agrees and signs, you've just created what we call an equitable interest on paper. Okay. Next, your contract needs a consideration clause. Okay, this is usually a small deposit, okay, often a $10 or $100, showing that something of value has exchanged hands. That's what makes the contract legally valid. You don't need thousands of dollars down. You just need to demonstrate good faith. That's all, okay? And of course, traditional realtors will require $1,000 or more, or maybe even $1,500. Then after this contract, this part of the contract, the consideration, the clause, the deposit, then comes the most powerful line in the entire contract, the assignability clause. We call it the assignability clause. This clause is what allows you to transfer your right in the contract to another buyer. Okay, by the way, this is not legal representation or advice. Check with your lawyers. Okay, check with your lawyers. It might be helpful to find a investor-friendly lawyer, of course, right? So it should read something like, buyers reserve the right to assign this agreement. Traditionally it will say something like assign and or, right? So that single sentence turns a simple piece of paper into a potential $10,000, $25,000, or even my highest $82,000 payday. Okay, so without that clause, you can't wholesale the deal. Okay, you can, but it's just much more safer. So always make sure it's there. Now, next up, you have inspection and contingencies, right? This is your safety net. You can put a clause. You want a clause that gives you time to inspect the property and confirm your numbers. Usually, it's a 7 to 10 day inspection period. It's also a good time to check with buyers. During this time, you can come back. You can back out of the property because it simply doesn't meet expectations. If the title issues comes up or something like that, if repairs are higher than expected, right? Because oftentimes as a wholesaler, you're also going by their words, and these are estimates, and that protects you. It keeps you risk free. Okay, it keeps your risk, got them near zero, right? So now let's talk about signatures and dates. I think this is probably the most important part. A contract isn't official until it is signed and dated by both parties, right? So once that happens, it's binding. You can now take that signed agreement and market your equitable interest to buyers, right? Remember, you have another 7 to 10 days to do quite a few things. And if it's the right deal, it should be off your table in 24 to 48 hours. That's what we call disposition. If you're using digital systems, and I highly recommend that you do, you can send and sign contracts electronically through services like DocuSign. There's another one called HelloSign. Fast, clean, professional. We used to do faxes, and fax worked just as good at that time too. So once you've got the signed contract, your next step is to open escrow or contact a title company. This makes it real. You submit your agreement and then begin the process of verifying ownership, checking for liens, and preparing for closing. So now here's where the magic happens. When you assign the contract to your end buyer, right? That's when you make money, right? Let's say you have a property under contract for $100,000. You find a buyer willing to pay $115,000. You assign the contract to them, and at closing, you collect $15,000 difference as your assignment fee, right? That's the power of the contract. That's 1.5 year worth of marketing paid for. Effortless marketing. You didn't need to buy the property. You didn't need to fix anything. You didn't need to hold it. You simply found opportunity, secured it on paper, and passed it along for a profit. Now, there's one more thing I want you to know. And this one is very important. Very, very important. You can also choose to double close instead of assigning the contract. I've said this before, right? You can double close, right? Especially if it's going to be more than $35,000 in profit. If it's more than $15,000 in profit, you need to double close, because if it's anything more than that, if they happen to be using hard money lender, there might be restrictions around what type of fee can go outside of a traditional real estate agency. So now this means you close on the property. Double closing means you close on the property yourself using the buyer's funds or short-term traditional funding. I think these days you need traditional funding. We used to use the buyer's funds to just fund everything, but the restrictions doesn't really stop anything. It just means you, for every $100,000 you lose that they borrow you, you lose $2,000. It's worth it. You still keep $98,000, right? So, and then you can immediately resell it. Okay. The benefit is privacy. The seller doesn't see your profit. And I told you a story before. The seller doesn't need to be seeing your profit. That's not their business. Their job is you deliver what you promise them, which is to help them get rid of a piece of property. I learned this lesson the hard way on one of my early deals. Okay. Yeah, I told you the story before. Maybe I can tell it again. $20,000 deal was lined up. The seller saw my profit on the closing statement and refused to go through unless I split it. Okay, so $10,000 disappeared. I still made my first $10,000 ever, bought a car, and if I had done a double close, it would have been a clean $20,000 in my pocket. $10,000 is a lot of money. Let's not front, because that would have funded another year of marketing. Because it's not just about greed. Okay, it's about me being able to sustain my business. Because the reality is that after my first 30 deals, I went through some hard times. Okay, I was very young, and there's a lot of stuff. So I'm still paying for some of that. Okay. So depending on the deal size and sensitivity, double closing can be the smart move. It's still the same concept. Your profit comes from the spread between your contract and your end buyer's price. The difference is just how it's structured. Okay. Now you can see why I call the contract the secret weapon. There will be two contracts that will create two double closing. Okay, it's not fancy software or script or hype or AI new tool agency something. It's this simple document that's going to legally create your income. Every deal, every profit, every success story in wholesale real estate starts with one piece of paper and one signature. And that's the moment you go from looking for deals to owning opportunities. Okay, and when you master contracts, understanding how to fill them, protect them, and leverage them, you move through the stages faster. Data, contact, leads, contracts, right? And of course, close deals. Your marketing, especially your acquisition, is smooth, and that's the architecture and that's the framework. All right. And I will be right back. This is Ola at myEmpirePRO, your favorite real estate coach. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Your empire starts today. I've written 3 game-changing books. Download them free at myEmpirePRO.com/books. I'm also looking for partners, money, time, or anywhere in between. If that's you, visit myEmpirePRO.com/partners.
And if you want to try the all-in-one PropStream software for free, go to myEmpirePRO.com/PropStream. Stay tuned. Let's build your $10,000 per month real estate empire.
Welcome back, Wholesale Real Estate Zillow. I don't know, wholesale real estate. A lot of people are talking about wholesale real estate these days, much more than when I first started. But is Zillow truly a tool that you can use in wholesale real estate? Is it? I'm asking for a friend. Let's talk about this for a second. I have a web. I have a hidden strategy. It's called Livestream that I want to talk to you about. By the way, it's a hidden strategy. But let's first of all define wholesale real estate. It's the art and science of finding deeply discounted properties, locking them up under contract, creating equitable interest. Okay, the equitable interest is the goal. That's the goal. That's the objective, right? You use a wholesale real estate contract to create equitable interest. You lock it up under contract, and that creates the equitable interest. And then you assign the rights to those interests to an end buyer in exchange for a fee. Does that make sense? That assignment fee is what we call profit, and is the fastest, the easiest, the biggest ROI you can make when it comes to real estate. Okay, and you're creating opportunity, you're solving problems, and you're cashing in on the value you bring to that table. Now let's talk about something that separates real estate wholesalers, okay, the real ones, from the hobbyists, the one that are just dabbling in and out but never close the deal. You know the difference? It's basically knowing where to look for the real deals, because here's the truth: most beginners are looking in the wrong places, and there are more than enough gurus that will teach you to rely on Zillow. You're already behind just by doing that. If you're relying on Zillow, you're behind. Don't get me wrong, Zillow has its uses. It's great for checking property details, getting a quick estimate, they call it Zestimate, or seeing pictures of a house. But Zillow is a public marketplace. Everyone and their cousins, they can access it. There's nothing special about you in that regards. That means competition is sky high, and the sellers you find there often want top dollar, not quick cash. So when a deal is sitting on Zillow, it's already exposed. And in wholesale real estate, exposure actually kills opportunity. So if you want to find the hidden wealth in this game called wholesale real estate, the real gold in this business, you got to dig deeper than Zillow. You need off-market data. You need motivation before exposure. That's where the best wholesalers win. I promise you. And that's where list pendings come in. So list pendings is Latin for pending lawsuit, but in real estate terms, it simply means there's a public notice that the property is tied up in a legal proceeding, usually a pre-foreclosure, divorce, or probate case. In other words, the owner has a real problem that needs solving. You're looking for problems to solve, not necessarily properties. And that's your opportunity, because when someone is facing foreclosure or a court-related property issue, that's not a joke, right? They're not just looking to get the highest price at this point. They're looking for solution. They're looking for relief. They want out. They want a solution. That's where you come in. As a wholesaler who knows how to help, that's gold. That's profit. Now imagine this. While thousands of people are fighting over the same overpriced listings on Zillow, you're reaching out to homeowners who aren't even on the market yet. That's the key. Okay. So now they are motivated, they're ready to talk, and they don't have competition knocking on their door. That's what makes list pendings and everything inbound marketing, list pendings data and anything inbound marketing, that makes it so powerful. Let me give you an example. Okay. My biggest deal ever, $82,000 net profit. It came directly from list pendings lead. It wasn't fancy marketing. It wasn't luck. It was simply being in front of the right person at the right time. That's what you need to learn how to orchestrate. That's what you need to learn how to automate. Okay. And that's what you need to learn how to respond properly to. The homeowner was behind on payments, and The bank had already filed notice. They didn't know what to do. His biggest fear was not losing the house, it was losing everything. I showed him that I could help him. It was a conversation, a very simple conversation, and basically I can help him move on peacefully. Okay, and even put out a little cash in his pocket. Don't tell anyone. So that's what the business is about: helping people while creating profit through service. This is truly a service-based opportunity. So how do you get access to this list spend these properties? How? Houseway. Right? Simple. It's very simple. You use data tools designed for professionals, not the general public, not a website that's designed for general public. And that's where myempirepro.com/big data comes in. It's a one-stop platform where you can filter by list pendings, pre-foreclosures, probate, tax delinquency, and dozens of other high motivation situations. Okay, now you can layer your filters. For example, list pendings plus absentee owner or plus high equity. That narrows down your list to the people most likely to say yes. Okay, now when you start calling or texting that list, you're not just reaching out randomly, you're reaching out strategically. Okay, does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. So that's how professionals do this, right? And yes, I'm encouraging you to be a professional from day one. Now, let's talk about why this works so well. Wholesale real estate thrives on motivation. You need motivated sellers. Every deal you close is tied to someone's problem, fortunately or unfortunately. And the bigger the problem, the bigger your potential profit. All right, so list pendings is one of those purest motivation signals you can find, because it's public record. That's the good news. Okay, you're probably not just going to find it on Zillow though. Okay, it's public record. It's public record that something serious is happening. So the county governments, they record them publicly for the society to see. And a foreclosure lawsuit, a probate case, a divorce, they are not tire kickers. These are people who need solutions right now. Okay, so and when you understand how to navigate those conversations with empathy and professionalism, you will win every time, every single time, especially if it's inbound. All right, direct mailing, digital marketing, direct mailing, digital marketing. Always remember, I think digital marketing is better than direct mailing anyway, because the attention is the attention on you and your marketing message. But direct mailing is just good as well because it's inbound. They're reaching out, not the other way around. You're jumping through data and contact all the way into leads. So always remember, these are sensitive situations. So you want to approach every homeowner with respect. Don't treat it like a deal. Okay? Treat it like a rescue mission. It might not even be a deal. They might connect you to the next deal. So treat it like a rescue mission. Become understanding and be helpful. Say something to the effect of, hey, I know this might be a tough time. My goal is to help you explore the different options before the bank takes over. And that should only come after they've actually told you that the bank has a problem with them. Don't tell them you already know this. It's a bad idea. Okay. Then you can ask them if they will be open to taking a simple cash offer. If they're open to it, sure. If they're not open to it, link them to the right resources. You never know. They might connect you with the next deal. So you want to play that game like a professional for real. See, that approach works. It works every time. And by the time they decide they want to get rid of the property, is on their own terms. They decided it. You didn't force them to do that. You didn't coerce them into that. Okay. So it builds trust. And when people trust you, deals move faster and smoother. Now, let's zoom out for a second and tie this back to the wholesale framework. Your marketing process starts with smart data. That's where list pendings belongs. Okay. In your data storage, you identify motivated sellers before anyone else does. Your acquisition process is where you make contact, you build rapport, and you negotiate. And because list pending leads are already motivated, your conversion rate goes up dramatically. You'll spend less time chasing and more time closing. I hope you're getting the understanding of this. Now, Your disposition process, let's talk about that for a second. That's where you assign and double close your contract. If there's potentially more than $15,000 profit, you need double closing. It gets easier because you're bringing high equity, time sensitive deals to the buyers. Those buyers love fast, deep, discounted opportunities, and they'll pay you big handsome profits to get it to them as fast as humanly possible. They'll pay premium assignment fees for them. Okay, the only people that tend to have a problem with this are the people you don't ever want to work with. So that's why list spending is a hidden weapon. You get more deals, faster closings, and higher profits with less competition. And look, I get it. Zillow feels easy. It's familiar. You can see photos, prices, and comps instantly. But wholesaling isn't about comfort. It's about control. Okay, it's about being able to control the deal. And you don't control the deals that everyone can see. You control the ones that no one else is paying attention to yet. And that's why I tell my students all the time, my partners, if you will, don't chase listings, chase signals. Okay, Zillow shows listings. List spending shows motivation. If you focus there, your business will explode. Okay, and the best part, you can automate a lot of this. Okay, once you set up your filters in a system like PropStream, which you can get at myempirepro.com/clickdata, you can get fresh lead spenders leads delivered every week or every day. Every week is best. You'll always have new opportunities without spending hours searching. All right, so I hope this makes sense. Let's get you moving. Let's get into action. Okay, and I'll be right back.
This is Ola at My Empire Pro, your favorite real estate coach. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Your empire starts today. I've written 3 game-changing books. Download them free at myempirepro.com/books. I'm also looking for partners, money, time, or anywhere in between. If that's you, visit myempirepro.com/partners. And if you want to try the all-in-one PropStream software for free, go to myempirepro.com/PropStream. Stay tuned. Let's build your $10,000 per month real estate empire. This is Ola at My Empire Pro, your favorite real estate coach. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Your empire starts today. I've written 3 game-changing books. Download them free at myempirepro.com/books. I'm also looking for partners, money, time, or anywhere in between. If that's you, visit myempirepro.com/partners. And if you want to try the all-in-one PropStream software for free, go to myempirepro.com/PropStream. Stay tuned. Let's build your $10,000 per month real estate empire.